In the Eastern folk tale of Baba Yaga, the hag gives Vasilisa the Brave 3 tasks to complete successfully or face death. In one version, she has to use a sieve to transport water to fill a bathtub. This is what it feels like as a British Palestinian retelling the narrative of Palestine in the middle of a genocide. This is what it feels like for anyone linked to the MENA region or for many activists, old and new. You flex every muscle as a storyteller. Each phrase is followed by a nod and a sympathetic expression. At the end of my toil, I hear the words, "It's really complicated," as I see my listener reach for their Sauvignon Blanc. Do I lack all social grace? Have I forgotten how to socialise? Am I mad? No. And the tick is to start all over again, carrying this story through a sieve to a mind that does not want to retain the knowledge of the hellhole that is Gaza. The responsibility of the blood on our hands as a nation. The burden that our comfortable way of life has always been built on the suffering of those deemed less valuable. It is easier to hide behind a smokescreen of complexity. Offline, we organise, we demonstrate, we occupy train stations, street corners, shopping malls, factory gates, museums, universities, and we create platforms to speak to each other, cheering for the truth. The simple truth phrased again and again, designed to pierce the malaise that is complexity. We return to ancient ways as we stand a little raised from the crowd on benches or boxes in the cold. I am a theatre director, and I have never seen the power and importance of theatre in its basic form like this. In a train station sit-down protest in Brighton, I saw a young woman wearing a keffiyeh across from me, crying. We spoke and she showed me a picture of her cousin who had been murdered in Gaza. Why do we have to stand in train stations convincing people that Palestinians should be allowed to live, she said to me through her tears. I felt guilty that the main point of my unprepared speech was to justify Palestinians' rights not to be slaughtered. Why are we standing on boxes and benches and re-explaining that children should not be bombed, women should not be bombed, men should not be bombed? Israel is in a permanent state of existential terror. Its birth story built on myth, its survival built on narrative and bloodshed. Across the world, we are fighting the narrative whilst blood is shed. I grew up in a time when hippies travelled to Israel to build kibbutz, and no one knew what Zata was. Now a kid with a milkshake and false eyelashes on TikTok will argue for Palestine's existence and rights with more articulation than I have ever mustered. Because it is not complex. It is simple. What is happening is morally wrong. It is hell. It is despair. It is what every moral theory, religion, and cautionary tale warns against. This is the worst of our humanity. This is the never again moment in history. When I look at lines of child-sized body bags, I see it as profoundly offensive to insinuate nuance or claim complexity or equivalence. This is a genocide of the Palestinian people. And now arts institutions, who boast of anti-racism and climate awareness, want to remain neutral. Doesn't neutral sit somewhere in the middle? Where is the middle of the genocide? Where is the immune spot, the centre stage of this grotesque horror show where morality is silent? Neutrality has become the acceptable mask of liberal racism. And if thousands of brown children are slaughtered somewhere else, well, that's just what happens. This is colonialism. We Teach Life, Sir, is a poem by Rafeef Ziadah. It was written in response to a journalist telling her that things would be better if Palestinians did not teach their children to hate. We teach life. That is what everyone who calls for a ceasefire asks for. We teach life. That is platforming the voices of Gazan artists. We teach life. This is the huge marches every Saturday, wherever we are, the drums, the chants, the flags, the begging to the clouds for bombs to stop falling. We are teaching that being allowed to live on the land you grew up on is not complex. It is life. It is our first right of existence. What is complex is admitting to yourself that you see the lives of Palestinians as less equal to yours, that the institutions that have benefited you are part of the system that justifies this hemorrhage of life. that Palestinians are somehow complicit in their fate as we wade through this dark chapter that will never be forgotten. This is complex, and this will take all your life to articulate. Good luck.